So, let's talk about something that's often a hidden and, let's be honest, a deeply frustrating health issue: mold toxicity. For so many people, it's this silent problem that leaves them feeling sick for years with absolutely no clear answers. We're going to get into what you really need to know.
Does this sound familiar? You're dealing with all these mysterious, wide-ranging symptoms, and you go from doctor to doctor, but no one can seem to figure out what's wrong? If you've ever felt that frustration and started wondering if maybe, just maybe, something in your environment is the real culprit, then this is for you.
All right, so to understand the symptoms, we first have to get to the root of the problem itself. What exactly is mold toxicity, and how's it different from, say, just a regular old mold allergy?
Okay, at the very heart of this issue is one key word you've got to know: mycotoxins. These are the real villains of the story. See, this isn't just about having an allergic reaction to mold spores. We're talking about a reaction to toxic chemical compounds that can get deep into your tissues, even cross the blood-brain barrier, and just set off this cascade of problems all over your body.
So, you're probably wondering, how do these toxins even get inside you? Well, there are three main ways. The number one most common way is inhalation. You just breathe them in, especially if you're in a place with water damage. But they can also be absorbed right through your skin, or you could ingest them on contaminated food. Once they're in, they can totally overwhelm your body's natural ability to clean house.
Let's get to the real core of this whole thing, the warning signs. And I'm calling it a full-body assault because that is honestly what it feels like. The symptoms can seem completely random and unrelated, hitting totally different parts of your body, which you can imagine is why it's all so confusing.
The first and most obvious place mold attacks is your respiratory system. You might get a cough that just won't go away, or you get these sinus infections over and over again, and antibiotics do absolutely nothing. That's happening because your sinuses are this warm, moist environment where those inhaled spores can actually set up shop, triggering nonstop inflammation. And this quote from Dr. Jill Krister really just hits the nail on the head. It shows you how easily these breathing issues get mistaken for something way more common, like adult-onset asthma. You have people who've never had breathing problems in their life, and suddenly they're struggling, and mold is often the very last thing they or their doctors even think to look for.
Now let's talk about the brain. This is where things can get really distressing for people. Mycotoxins can mess with your nervous system, leading to this crippling brain fog, memory problems, and these sudden out-of-nowhere mood changes, like intense anxiety or depression. You might also find you're suddenly incredibly sensitive to things that never used to bother you, like normal lights or everyday smells.
The physical toll can be just as weird and confusing. A really peculiar sign is migrating pain. One day your shoulder is killing you, the next day it's your knee, and there's no injury to explain it. Your skin is also a major way your body tries to detox, so you might see these unexplained rashes, hives, or itchy spots pop up as your body literally trying to push these toxins out.
And we absolutely cannot forget the gut. Mycotoxins can do direct damage to the lining of your digestive tract. And guess what? This often looks exactly like irritable bowel syndrome, or IBS. You get the bloating, the cramping, the nausea. A lot of people also notice sudden changes in their appetite or can't figure out why their weight is going up or down.
Okay, if you take only one thing away from this whole section, please let it be this. The number one most important clue is all about correlation. Do you feel worse at home or at the office? Do your symptoms seem to kind of magically get better when you go on vacation or spend a few days somewhere else? That link to your environment is the single biggest clue that mold might be what's really going on. So this brings us right to the heart of the frustration, doesn't it? If these signs are all there, why do so many people suffer for years and years without a proper diagnosis? Why is this so often missed by conventional medicine?
Well, the reason it gets misdiagnosed becomes crystal clear when you just look at the symptom overlap. I mean, the signs of mold toxicity perfectly mimic other chronic conditions. If you walk into a doctor's office with fatigue and pain, you're way more likely to walk out with a diagnosis of fibromyalgia or chronic fatigue syndrome, while the real root cause, your environment, is completely ignored.
And for anyone who is on this path to recovery, this quote from Dr. Neil Nathan is just so important. It really validates the journey. Because healing is not a straight line. You're going to have good days and you're going to have bad days. But those glimpses of health, as he calls them, those are the signs that you are on the right track, even when progress feels painstakingly slow.
Okay, so we've laid out the problem, we've talked about the challenges, now let's pivot to the solution. What actionable steps can you actually take if you suspect mold is making you sick?
Here are your first 3 moves. First, you have to become a detective in your own environment. Look for any sign of water damage or musty smells. Second, keep a detailed journal of your symptoms and make sure you note when and where you feel the worst. And third, this one is crucial. You have to find a doctor or practitioner who actually understands environmental medicine.
Now, when it comes to testing your home, professional help is really key. Those DIY kits you see at the hardware store, they often miss the hidden problems. An inspector with the right credentials can use tools like ERMI dust testing or infrared cameras to find mold that might be growing completely unseen inside your walls or your HVAC system.
And once you find that right doctor, it helps to know what to even ask for. You can go in and talk about specific tests, like a urinary mycotoxin panel, which can show what your body is trying to get rid of, or tests for specific inflammatory markers that are often sky high in people with mold illness.
You know, when you boil it all down, recovery is basically a 2-part process. It's pretty simple. Number 1, you have to remove the exposure. No supplement, no diet, no treatment is going to work if you're still breathing in the toxins. And number 2, you have to actively help your body bind and eliminate all the toxins that have built up. Both of these steps are absolutely essential.
So, we'll end with the most important question of all. After hearing about all the mysterious symptoms, the challenges with diagnosis, and the path forward, just ask yourself this. Could the real key to unlocking your health not be in another prescription bottle, but in the very air you breathe and the environment you live in every single day?